Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me today is the CEO of Lake and Sumter County, Ken Adcock, with Habitat for Humanity.
Thanks for having me.
I tell you, I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, and we'll get into that. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. You are a veteran.
Yeah, I served in the U.S. Army back in the early 70s and also in the Reserve, and have had a lot of family members that have been veterans, and this is something near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, you have a lot coming up, but tell us a little bit about Habitat for Humanity. How did it get started?
Sure. Habitat started about 30 years ago in a little country southwest Georgia when a man by the name of Millard Fuller, who was actually a millionaire, really got a conviction about housing and the condition of housing that some people were living in. And so he liquidated his assets and he started Habitat for Humanity, but for the purpose of helping those that lived in poor housing to have a better standard of housing. And it wasn't too many years after having done that the now President Jimmy Carter got to meet him, because they were in close proximity to one another, and President Carter got involved with Habitat, and he's probably our most famous volunteer.
Yeah, I think he's well known, yeah. Tell me a little about Habitat. Is all over the country, all over the world? Or?
Right. There are 1,500 Habitat affiliates in North America alone, but we're in about 88 countries across the globe, and we've just been recognized as the 6th largest housing producer in the United States. And so our whole focus is to make sure that people have a place that they can call home that's safe, decent, and affordable.
And you told me before it's a 501c3 non-for-profit.
That's correct. And it's a federated model, so there are 1,500 chapters across the U.S., and each one of those chapters is independently governed by a local board of directors. So Lake and Sumter County, our chapter here is controlled by a local board of directors as well.
Now, how did you get started? Because you told me before nobody gets paid.
Well,
there probably is certain people, right?
Yeah, there's staff that get paid, but staff work with volunteers who actually do most of the work. Back after my kids graduated from college, I was ready to give up the rat race, so to speak. And I had been a licensed contractor, and I had been involved heavily in my church. And so I believed that I wanted to find something that I could be mission-oriented, but yet combine the business side of it as well together. Habitat seemed to be the likely solution for me. So after a while of volunteering with Habitat, they invited me to become executive director in Maryland. And it wasn't too long after that Hurricane Katrina hit. And my parents lived on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi and lost everything in Katrina. And so I told Habitat International, I said, I'd like to be involved in helping people recover after Katrina. And it wasn't too many weeks after that they invited me up to help build 50 houses on Rockefeller Plaza on the Today Show. And I was one of the ones swinging a hammer, and we raised $50 million in a week.
Wow. And
we used that money to help rebuild the Gulf Coast.
Well, we're hoping with this show we can help you raise some more money.
That would be wonderful.
Why don't you tell our audience about some of the projects you got going around here?
Sure. We've from the very start, and we've been here in Lake and Sumter County since 1989, served about 350 families since 1989. It's always been single-family home ownership for the most part. But one of the things that I moved here 8 months ago from Washington, D.C. with Habitat. And one of the things that we established in Washington, and it's now rolled out across the U.S., is Veterans Housing Initiative. Because with Afghanistan and Iraq, veterans are coming back in just extremely large numbers. The estimate from the Department of Veterans Affairs and the census says that when everything's said and done, 2,800 veterans will come back to Lake and Sumter County. That's the estimate. And many of them are coming back, not only is the economy not doing the best in the world, but they'll be coming back with substantial needs that many times have not been addressed. And so Habitat, from a shelter perspective of housing, has wanted to be able to try to help that. And so as a result of that, we are building our first veterans-focused home in Wildwood, and we will actually put the roof and the walls up November the 10th, Veterans Day weekend, for a disabled Vietnam Marine. So it's going to be an exciting time. And then we're going to follow that. The very next day, we're going to have a dinner at Mission Inn, and it's a fundraising dinner with a pairing party. And 18 PGA Tour pros are coming from the Disney Classic on Sunday, the 11th. They're going to drive up and they're going to stay at Mission Inn the evening of the 11th, and they're going to play a benefit Pro-Am tournament on the 12th, with all the proceeds going to veterans housing here in Lake and Sumter County.
Wow, that's great. You said you've done these before, huh?
Yeah, after Katrina, the PGA Tour players really wanted to be involved in doing something to give back and help those that were in recovery. And so they made an offer to us and said, what if we did a Pro-Am benefit? And they're donating their time. So this was something that we were very appreciative of. We thought it was a one-time deal back then, and they came back year after year after year and ended up, their visibility helped to garner a lot of money to come towards the
Oh yeah, a lot of people want to meet the pros. Sure, sure. The individual that's receiving this new house that you guys are putting up, you want to tell us a little about him? I'm hoping he'll come on this show. So
we'll definitely work to get him on here. His name's Curtis Walters. He is a disabled Vietnam Marine Corps vet. Was injured by stepping on a landmine while he was on a scout patrol in Vietnam. He's been living in his old home place, family home place. He's never really had a place that was his, and so Habitat, in looking over and talking with him and talking with the Department of Veterans Affairs, they're going to be providing a loan for him, and we're going to build a house in Wildwood. And so he's extremely excited, and he's already started getting the word out to his network and his friends about, hey, come help me build my house.
Yeah. Well, I gather you've gotten, I've read a newspaper article in Daily Sun, and it seems like you've gotten some volunteers. That's been going pretty good, huh?
Yeah, you know, one of the things with Habitat is once the word gets out, the volunteers just kind of flock to it, and we've had more volunteers than we've actually had capacity. And so not only are we building this one house for this disabled Vietnam veteran, but we're also raising the funds to build a 15-bed transitional housing unit that will be then, the keys will be just the catalyst, and we'll help raise the funds and we'll help build the house, but the keys will be turned over to Lifestream Behavioral Center, and they're going to actually manage and operate that for, you know, and we expect it'll serve maybe 50 vets a year by doing that. So it's an exciting time, and people have been overwhelmingly receptive to the idea.
Oh, I'd say there's such a need to help our men and women of, you know, in uniform. I mean, you know, I talk about it all the time. You got men and women who were carpenters or who were business by themselves, you know, and they get called over and go out, and well, their income is down.
That's right.
You know, and puts a strain on relationships and everything. So it's great that you get what you guys are doing.
Well, but the reason we're able to do what we're doing is because it's galvanizing the entire community, because this is a large project between the house for the disabled vet and the 15-bed transitional house. It's a $650,000 project, which is a lot of money in the context of the economy today. But already we've seen sponsors step up. I mean, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. We've got banks that are stepping forward. We've got community groups. We had a little community group of a couple of ladies, or some ladies that had done a cookbook, and they sold their cookbooks and they gave the money to veterans housing. And so it's just starting to galvanize community support, and it's just kind of rolling along. So it wouldn't be able to be done without the community.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the community, there's a lady, Mary Lou, that's in charge of the volunteers.
That's right. And
I have her number in case you don't have it.
I don't have it with me, but you've got it. But you can call Mary Lou. She's the one that coordinates all the volunteers. And it's really amazing, because not only are we building these two houses, we are actually building houses in Wildwood, in Mascot, and in Umatilla, and we're getting ready to start several more. So if you're not in the vicinity of the Veterans House, we've got housing that we're beginning in all the major areas because we're in both Lake
Well, I'm
and
sure you're going to get a lot of support from the American Legion, VFW, Korean veterans, Vietnam veterans, AMVETS.
Yeah, in fact,
Once
the
this word gets out.
AMVETS in Eustis, they've secured a Harley, and they're auctioning it off or raffling it off, and they're going to give part of the proceeds to veterans housing for this purpose.
That's outstanding, yeah. Because you're going to need all the help you can get.
Right.
But it's for the volunteers. It's Mary Lou, and the number is 352-600-3053. 600-3053. And she'll keep let people know if she needs any help.
Absolutely, we'll keep you posted.
You know, I didn't. Maybe I was a little naive. I know of Habitat for Humanity. I did not know that they were really doing much in this area at all. You know, and I found out too. I talked to one of your partners there, Jessica.
Yes.
And Jessica tells me there's like 4 thrift stores.
Correct. We have a thrift store in Groveland, one in Wildwood, one in Leesburg, and one in Eustis. And the thrift store, this is the interesting thing about this nonprofit, which is very different than most. The 4 thrift stores, the revenue that we earn from people donating their furnishings to us and then we resell it, the revenue we earn totally endows the operation of our organization, which means when a person donates money, just comes and donates money to Habitat here in Lake and Sumter County, 100 cents of every dollar goes straight to build that house. No money comes out for salaries or light bill or material, you know, it just goes straight to build that house. And those restores are what makes that possible. We call them thrift stores, restores. And so it's something that we're continuing to expand and look forward to being able to serve the community.
Yeah, you tell us the locations of where they are exactly?
Sure. There's the one in Groveland is off Highway 50 in Groveland, just on the south or on the Claremont side of Groveland, on out of Highway 50. There's a large billboard there. And then we've got the one in Wildwood that is just about 1.5 miles this direction, meaning Leesburg direction, from the entrance of Brownwood. So it's right on Highway 44 in Wildwood. And then Lone Oak Drive in Leesburg is our Leesburg office, our restore. And then we have our Eustis restore on South Bay Street, right on Highway 19, down, you know, close to downtown. So those are the 4 locations, and each one of them, depending on the area in which your listeners or viewers live, is they can call those stores and they can actually come out and pick up their material for them.
I called Jessica because I have a TV that was a large. It's an older one, but it works great.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to donate it, so I'm going to have somebody come out and pick it up. I'm redoing a room.
Sure.
Long story, but yeah. So. We got this coming up on November 10th and the 11th. That's going to be all that. You have a website or something that, or you got flyers? Or?
Yeah, we've got www.habitatls.net is our website, and we're actually getting ready to launch a brand new website. It'll be at that same address, but it'll be a very interactive website that will tell about all of our major initiatives. It will allow people to sign up and volunteer online, a whole variety of different types of things. And we expect that will be online coming probably in October, maybe the first part of November. But you can also make donations on the website. Any donation can be earmarked, and we certainly appreciate those donations, no matter what they are. We will be also communicating through flyers in the mail and through other means between now and Thanksgiving, or actually leading up to Thanksgiving. We believe thanks and giving go together.
Yes.
And so we're going to be communicating with a lot of people in our community about how they can express their thanks by giving. And we're going to earmark a lot of this to the veterans.
That's great. We talk about, I know we talked before the show, did we talk about the process of who gets these homes?
Yeah.
I'm sure the people would like to know.
And you know, that's really interesting because I spoke to the Eustis Chamber yesterday, and I made the statement that Habitat does not give homes away. And that was kind of a surprise to a lot of people. We don't give homes away. We aren't a welfare organization. We don't serve homeless population. what we do is we provide people a hand up, not a handout. And so what we do is we get community stakeholders to volunteer their time to help construct the house, which lowers the price or the cost of the house. Plus we get as much donated materials as we possibly can. We call it GIK, gifts in kind, and that lowers the cost of the house. We build that, we raise money from the community, whether it's a bank or a church or individual donors help fund the cost of those materials. Then we build it, and then we sell it to that homeowner at cost with an affordable mortgage. And when we say affordable mortgage is if they can't get a third-party mortgage through a loan, we will be the finance. We'll be the bank at 0% interest. So then we sell that, and so we believe it's a hand up. It's not a handout. And they have to partner because they have to show a commitment. They've got to have skin in the game, literally. And so a couple that gets a Habitat house has to put in 350 hours of volunteer sweat equity, we call it. They have to work on their house or their neighbor's house. They go through Financial Peace University, which is a 13-week program for understanding how to budget your income so that you can live within your means. And so there's a heavy commitment on the part of those homeowners, and they are underwritten just like they would if they went to a bank, only we have different criteria because we're a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm. What about furniture and furnishing the place? Do you have anything to do with that?
No, we don't, but it's kind of interesting that you say that because we had somebody, when they found out about Mr. Walter's house, they said, when the house is finished, give me a call. We might want to help. We might want to help with furnishings. So we only do the house, but at times there are those that many times it may be a church, it might be a Sunday school class, it may be, somebody that will surround that family and kind of adopt them and say, hey, we want to help you get started, in your new home. And so, but we as Habitat, our responsibility stops with the house because we want to make sure that we give everybody the same equal approach. But there's some times that people do, say, hey, we want to go beyond that.
It has to be very self-rewarding to have done something like that. I mean, I'm sure you can have a story or something you could...
Well, today, for example, before we have this session, this morning, one of our House of Representatives, State House of Representatives, and he and I met. And he had never seen what we did. And I said, well, let me take you out and give you a little tour. And we were in Eustis. He said, well, do you ever take any foreclosed homes and then redo them and then put them back?
That's an interesting
And I said,
concept.
yeah, about 50% of our homes that we do right now are, rather than build new homes, there are so many out there on the market, we'll buy a foreclosed one and we'll totally redo it. And he said, well, I'd like to see one of those. So we went off and I showed him, and you couldn't tell the difference between it and a new home almost. And when we showed up, when we arrived, pulled around the corner to pull in the driveway, the family that was going to get that home was looking in the windows. Yeah. Because their carpet had been installed yesterday and their appliances had been donated. And Whirlpool donates a stove and a refrigerator for every one of our homes free of charge.
Wow.
And that's every Habitat home across the nation, free of charge. And they've done it for the last 30 years.
Wow.
So it's amazing, the fact that Whirlpool has been willing to make that kind of commitment so that every single house that Habitat builds, they're guaranteed to have a stove and a refrigerator from Whirlpool that they provide free of charge. But it was interesting because they were looking in the window, and so I said, well, have you seen it since they put the carpet in? And they said, no, we were just trying to. And I said, well, I've got the keys here. So it was really interesting because the State House of Representatives leader was with me, and so we all went through and toured the house together, and they were just excited, about what was happening. And turned out beautifully. But it was a house that we picked up out of foreclosure and totally redid.
Do you get any idea how many of them you've been involved with?
Well,
over the years? I mean, it's quite a few years now, right?
Yeah. Well, I've never tallied it up. I know that after Hurricane Katrina, collectively, we built 1,500 in 18 months. But I have never really thought about how many that might be. The interesting thing through this whole process is that because of the integrity of Habitat as an organization, it has a tremendous reputation to make sure that we're on a physical footing that's sound with high degree of integrity. And over the years, I've been blessed because I've met 5 U.S. presidents by working with Habitat. I've hammered and nailed alongside some of the most unusual and exciting celebrities that you can imagine. And I've really been trying to work on trying to get a celebrity to come out here to Lake County for us.
Come on my show.
For the Veterans Initiative. So, but you just never know. But I'm putting some words out there. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, you probably got the Lions Club and all these others. Are they getting involved? Or?
We have Rotary clubs are getting involved. We're having the Rotary clubs. Well, let's see. I haven't met the Lions Club yet, but we've met several of the civic organizations, AMVETS from a variety of different persuasions, the Elks Club. You know, so it's a total community effort.
You've gone to the Legion and.
Yeah, I've met with the Legion. Met with the Legion in Lady Lake, and met with the American Vets in several different locations, and you know, the Chamber of Commerce. We're involved with them. I spoke to them yesterday. I'll be at the South Lake Chamber next week, speaking with them, letting them know what the opportunities are, and so it's just really great because there's such a sense of community. You know, even though Lake and Sumter we serve 13 different municipalities, there are some things that happen in life that galvanize everyone, and veterans certainly is one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's veterans. You know, we stick together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, we had to. You know, that's the way we were.
Well, and
you go through the military.
And you know, when we went to, one of the things when we go to meet the family or the potential family that that's going to get a Habitat house, is we have to go visit them where they live, because one of the criteria is they have to demonstrate that they live in substandard housing conditions. If they're already living in a good, stable housing situation, then there's really no need for us to be involved. There are plenty of people out there that aren't, that we could serve better. And so when we went to Mr. Walters, he was living in his family's old home place, and I think it was owned by a distant uncle or something like that, but it was definitely something that was, in terms of today's terminology, substandard. It needed to, and you know, sometimes you've gone so far that you can't rehab it. You know, it's that far along.
Yeah.
And so when we went there, we said to ourselves, you know, someone who served our country faithfully, like Mr. Walters, who is a Purple Heart recipient and was wounded in action and gave himself in service, should not be relegated when he comes back to the U.S. to live in a condition, you know, that's substandard. He should have a place of safety and security and stability, a place that he can call his own home. And so that's one of the reasons that we're so motivated.
Yeah. You have some very good, like I say, groups down in the villages, SOS and USA Cares.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll get some help from them. They're fantastic.
Well, you know, it is. We actually did a kind of an asset mapping, and in that area alone, there's like 20 different groups that are servicing veterans in one form or fashion or another.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
There are all kinds of legions and VFWs, and they in separate communities. They all have their own, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't know how many there are, like you say, but I know there's a lot of them.
Well,
I want to get them on the show too, by the way.
Just the American Legion alone in the villages in Lady Lake is, I think, it's either the first or second largest in the nation.
I think they're the second, but they're on their way to becoming the number one.
3,400 members strong.
Yeah,
you know.
It's a beautiful post, and non-smoking.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So we feel blessed and honored, and really we don't view Habitat as being the hub of the wheel. We view Habitat as being one of the spokes, along with a lot of others in the community. The hub of the wheel is to serve the needs of the veteran in the area of shelter and housing. Now, we don't do homeless housing, but along the continuum of care, starting over here with homeless, then we go to transitional housing, which is what we're going to be providing with this facility, moving them from transitional housing into self-sufficiency housing and leading them that path. And there's so many people that have offered their services to this. Is amazing.
So you're going to go around to different organizations still, or?
That's basically all I do now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a staff of about 32. We're large for a nonprofit. We're fairly large, and so I've got a pretty rigid calendar of people that I'm meeting one after the other, you know, because the message is really vital in so many different ways.
So you're going to put the frame up in the roof on the 10th of November this year. The 11th is the tournament.
Right.
It's not a cheap one.
No, but it's designed to raise money. So,
Yeah.
and it's not only a local; it's a regional and national. We have people flying in from Atlanta and from New York, and they're, you know, when you talk about a pro-am at a golf tournament, that's a national tournament, like the Disney tournament, for example. If somebody plays in that pro-am, they're going to pay $4,000 to $5,000 to play with a pro.
Wow.
We're only charging $1,000, and because the pros are donating their time, that $1,000 is all going to housing. So we're not having any administrative costs that we have to take out of that. But when we've got a $650,000 vision, we've got to find a way of funding that vision. And so we believe that it's a reasonable thing for us to look and say, even in the economy today, people who have a sense of real wanting to work and value this, they'll give. And so that's kind of what we're going under.
And it's going to be played at Mission Inn, right?
Yeah, at El Campeon.
Yeah, how did that come about?
Well, you know, it's quite interesting. I've only been here about 8 or 9 months, and one of the first people that I came in contact with was Bud Butcher from Mission Inn. And so he and I developed a relationship, and actually Bud's now on the Habitat for Humanity Board of Directors for
Great.
Mission Inn. And so I started this talk and said, well, what if we could do this, you know? And I asked him, I said, now, I've got a relationship with the PGA Tour. If I asked them if they would be willing to do this, you know, would you consider allowing Mission Inn to be used for that purpose? And he said, absolutely. And so that's how it just kind of came together. So.
Well, this should be huge. One of the biggest things that happen in
Well,
this county.
and your viewers need to realize, too, that they can come out on that Monday and watch a pro up close and personal for no charge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, you know,
I thought you'd probably be selling tickets.
Nope.
I didn't know.
Nope. We believe that our sponsors, and it's demonstrated in the past activity, that our sponsors are so benevolent in helping us fulfill the vision of housing for this, that spectators can come out and with no cost can walk. Now, they can't get out on the fairways, but you know they can
yeah, right.
They'll be right up there close by. You know, you won't have the crowds like you do at a normal golf tournament, and we'll have some big names. They won't announce the names until about 5 weeks out, but some of the ones that we've had in the past that played in our tournaments were Masters champion Bubba Watson played in a couple of our
Bubba
tournaments.
Watson, yeah.
We had Chris DeMarco, we've had Anthony Kim, we had John Daly, we had Woody Austin, we had Bob Tway. So we believe, and the PGA liaison that is working with us believes that we will have a very good representation of pros that will, you know, come participate.
Well, I'm excited, and I know Mr. Walters has got to be really excited about getting his new home
Yeah.
and this other transition, this housing that you're going to be doing. Unfortunately, time's up.
Well, I appreciate you being willing.
Quickly, if people want to get a hold of you or make a donation.
Sure. Yeah, they can reach me at 352-483-0434, extension 11. And I'll be happy to, if any of your viewers have any organizations or Sunday school classes or anything they'd like me to come and speak at, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Well, I thank you, Kent.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
your service, and I thank you what you guys, all you volunteers are doing over there at Habitat for Humanity. You're making a difference, and that's the way this world should work.
Well, we appreciate that. And it's only because of folks like you helping us get the word out.
Well, to all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. We are now entering our third year salute here at Lakefront TV. We've had many great guests and veterans organizations share their stories with us. We'd like to hear from you too. If you're a veteran or a veterans organization, Lake Sumter counties, please give us a call. Lakefront TV can be seen all over Lake County and the villages and worldwide at lakefronttv.com.